Welcome back to Nomad Chats, where we uncover the unconventional paths to freedom. Today, we are joined by Bianca Rappaport, the founder of Wanderwell Club. Over the past decade, she has lived rent free across over 20 countries because of her role as a house sitter. She has travel hacked her way to nearly free flights, and she's reached Coast Fi at 34, all while earning under $50,000 a year. So she is here to show us how slow, intentional travel can go hand in hand with financial independence and giving back. Bianca, welcome to Nomad Chats.
Thank you so much for having me, Sam. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, we can learn so much from you. So I am equally as excited. How are you feeling today, and where in the world are you joining us from today?
I'm doing great. I am currently in Boquete in Panama. This is the land of the Nagobe Bugle indigenous tribes, and I'm very honored to be house sitting here for 1 month.
Have you been to Panama before?
No, this is my first time in Panama, but I spent the whole summer here. I did one house sit in Pedasi, which is in the Azuero Peninsula. And I did a house sit looking after one cat there for 2 months, and it was amazing. We were in this beachfront villa with a pool, and we were able to see humpback whales right from,
Wow.
where we were sitting, and while we were having lunch. Uh, yeah, it was
What
amazing.
a cool house sitting spot. Okay. Well, I'm excited to dig into all of that today. For those who might not know you yet, why don't you set the table for today's conversation by sharing a little bit about your background? What did life look like before you became a full time traveler?
Sure. So I'm originally from a small town in upstate New York, and I knew that I wanted to get out of there. So
Okay.
I started working when I was 14, and I started working, studying, taking college classes when I was 14 as well. So during the week and at night, I wanted to get out as quickly as I possibly could. And I also knew that I needed to financially support myself. So education was kind of my ticket out of my small hometown, and I was able to graduate early from high school and enter college as a junior at Syracuse University. And my friends there convinced me to travel to study abroad with them for a semester, and I applied at the very last minute, and I was accepted. And then I actually applied for so many scholarships that I got paid to go and study for a semester in Florence, which
So
was
cool.
absolutely amazing. And so this is kind of where the scrappiness of my travel began. And I also partnered with a company there that allowed me to uh, tra- they allowed me to travel for free as long as I was able to get other friends on board for the trip. So I was able to visit like Switzerland and the Netherlands and all these amazing places. Basically, got struck by the travel bug there. It's also where I first started to volunteer internationally. When I was studying abroad in Italy, I was able to teach English in some schools that were affected by the devastating earthquakes that were in L'Aquila in Italy, as well as some other schools. And I did an internship with a nonprofit organization focused on travel and communication. Studying abroad completely changed the course of my career, my life, because I knew that I wanted to integrate travel into everything that I did. I essentially, rather than climbing the corporate ladder or anything like that, I went back, finished university 2 years early, and then I got an internship with Southwest Airlines in the community relations and charitable giving department. So I was helping organize volunteer programs and doing all the corporate social responsibility stuff, and it was amazing. And I also got free flights, so I was able to go and visit all of my friends around the country during that time. I knew Dallas wasn't for me at that moment. So they did offer me a job, but I turned it down at the height of the, global financial crisis. And everyone thought that I was crazy, but I moved to Brooklyn and ended up getting an internship with a travel startup magazine called Off Track Planet. And that turned into me working for them as the PR and community manager. And from there, it was really interesting because one of the articles in the magazine was how to travel the world for free or nearly free. And two of the things that were mentioned were au pairing, as well as trusted house sitters and house sitting around the world. And I didn't think much of it at the time, but it completely changed everything it completely changed the course of my life. So when the magazine ended up folding, I was like, okay, well, let me go ahead and give au pairing a try. Why not? And a few weeks later, I already had flights booked to Sardinia, Italy, which I hadn't even really been aware of before going there. And I moved there. 2 weeks after I arrived, I met my partner, who is now my husband. And I eventually transitioned into teaching English there. When my partner proposed to me, I basically said yes, but I'm planning on doing this trip around the world. So you're welcome to come with me, or you can just wait and I'll come back. And he ended up saying yes. So we put together this bad idea to just save up as much as we possibly could and prepare ourselves to quit our permanent jobs in Italy, which, a permanent contract in Italy is kind of like the holy grail. Everyone wants it. And everyone thought we were pretty wild and that we weren't going to do it, but we did that. And ever since then, that was in April 2016 that we started the journey, and we have been on the road ever since.
Wow. So you've been at this for a while. Okay, that is really good context. I'm really hearing themes from the beginning with scrappy. How can you get free stuff or sometimes even get paid to do things that you love doing, as well as a deep desire to always give back? It sounds like volunteering and contribution have been part of your value system for a long time. And I know these are going to be two big themes of today's conversation. And I'm so excited to hear what you would share with our audience who are interested in those things as well. But you mentioned, okay, giving up the dream gig in Italy, traveling around the world full time, going nomadically. How did your friends and your family react when you told them this?
Well, personally, my friends and family are kind of used to me doing all of these wild things. So, really, they're used to it totally. And my father was very encouraging of it as well. He hitchhiked his way across the US when he was young, so he gets it.
Cool,
But
dad.
my in laws were completely skeptical. They kind of thought that we were throwing our lives away and didn't really have a plan and couldn't
Mm,
really understand.
mm.
And our friends who were well traveled were definitely more supportive of our plan, because there was a time where we kind of got like a little bit boring, or we weren't necessarily doing things in the way that, we weren't constantly going out, and we were just looking for ways to be frugal because we had a very singular focus and goal to achieve. So with that, we kind of distance ourselves from people that were skeptical of our ideas. If they really weren't going to bring the good vibes around the thing that mattered to us the most, then we just surrounded ourselves with all of the family and friends that were willing to support us.
I think that's so interesting you mentioned that because that is something I've been thinking about myself where sometimes I have really exciting updates in my life or moves I want to make, risks I want to take, and some people can be shocked that I want to do that and are surprised by this new identity I want to step into. And for a long time I would do exactly that. I would just start distancing myself from those types of people, not sharing parts of my life with them, and then over time, I just kept feeling like, well, this is such a bummer. You're some of my favorite people in the world. And I feel like I can't tell you some of the biggest things going on in my life. And so now I'm trying this new path where I just feel like really confident in my decisions and my ability to design my own life. And who cares what people's opinions are? This is about me and just being really confident in that. Can you relate to that at all of like trying to just like arm yourself for some of these conversations because you know they can like shake you sometimes?
Absolutely. And I think that that was my mindset 9 years ago, of course. So like, nearly a decade has passed since
Yeah.
then. So now I just feel very, very confident in my own decisions. And I've always felt that way to a certain extent. And whenever people have criticism or are skeptical about your plans or are just really, really concerned for you, it could be entirely out of love, but it's really them letting their own fears come into place. So it's really about them and not about me and my own decisions. So I just let
Mhm.
them feel the way that they want. And I mean, I'm still going to go on with my plans.
Yeah. Okay. It sounds like it's been a similar evolution for you as well. So if you're listening and for the first time you're really doing something unconventional and you're having that experience of questioning yourself because people are questioning you, that is so normal. And over time, you're just going to build that confidence and your ability to make the right decision for you. So it definitely gets easier. And you're right. A lot of it has to do with other people's fear and also people just not being able to see the vision that you have for yourself. Like when you have a growth mindset and you're changing and you're growing, you have this identity that you think you are capable of and you know you're capable of, but people kind of just know who you are in front of them. They're not there for all of the quiet moments between you and your husband where you're reflecting and dreaming or journaling or processing. And so for them, it can kind of seem like a surprise. But for you, you're like, oh, no, no, this has been a long time coming, okay? Get on board, people.
Absolutely. Definitely feel that way. And now, the same people who were skeptical and critical of us years ago, they're just like rooting us on and they're so happy that we're
Mm,
actually doing it. And it's really nice to also just be inspiring for other people as well.
I love that. Was there a turning point where you realized, okay, this is more than just a trip around the world. This is actually a lifestyle that could be sustainable long term?
Yeah, for sure. So when we first went on our trip around the world, we just booked the cheapest flight from Sardinia to anywhere, and that happened to be Kos, Greece. And it was wonderful because there we were able to start off the trip on a very good note. We volunteered with close solidarity to help with Syrian refugees get clothing donations and food donations. So it was a really nice note to start off. But then we got really excited about all of the cheap flights that we could get all around Europe, and we started bouncing around very, very quickly. We were switching cities or even countries every week or two. And it really caught up with us. And we were couch surfing at the time. We had budgeted originally for Airbnbs, hostels, just a backpacking type of trip. But we ended up couch surfing for nearly 3 months straight throughout Croatia, Hungary, a month in Japan and South Korea. And it was absolutely incredible. Like everyone we couch surfed with they were amazing hosts and they were just so generous. They introduced us to their friends and family and just were really welcoming us with open arms. And we're still in touch with so many of those people and very grateful for their generosity and the relationships we built. But we also needed our own space. We realized that we were being too superficial with our travel. You know, we were
Okay.
just touching the surface. You know, we weren't really
Mm,
traveling deeper. How can we build really really meaningful relationships and kind of build this global um, community of friends for ourselves as well? We weren't even working. So when we were traveling so fast, I can't even imagine adding on the element of working about how exhausted we would have been just switching contexts all the time. Another thing is that, you know, even in terms of health, you need to have with the digital nomad lifestyle, there comes a point where you need to have a little bit slower pace, a little bit more of a routine, even for your own health. And I realized that at that point, I knew that I needed for my own health as well, just to take a slower rhythm. And I referred back to that article that originally mentioned trusted house sitters as a way to travel for free. So we registered. I remember we were in South Korea with our couch surfing host at the time. We applied right away and we got our first house sit. And it was for 3 weeks in Bangkok in this beautiful duplex condominium with a pool and security and gym and all the works. And it was with this adorable cat named
mm.
Mateo. We were able to actually look after him again when their family moved to Rome. So it just goes to show how you can also build these global networks and you see people over and over again when you build really nice relationships with.
Okay, so at the beginning, it was about collecting as many passport stamps as possible, quantity, quantity, quantity. And you realize that this was really fun, but I'm kind of exhausted. My health is being impacted, and I don't feel like I'm having as deep of a connection as I want to or as I'm capable of based on the person I am and my desires. And house sitting was the spark of you doing slower, more intentional travel, usually house sitting. I have an account on Trusted House Sitter, so I'm very familiar with the platform. It's typically when I'm gone for a long period of time, having someone in my home take care of my pets. It's a time where you can really like live in someone's home and be part of that community. So when you think about like your first house sit, how did you start thinking about how you wanted to do that in the future? Is that when you realized like, okay, house sitting is going to be my solution for more slow, intentional travel? And tell us a little bit more about that process and what people might not expect about house sitting.
Absolutely. When we started house sitting the first time, it was just a complete game changer. We're like, oh, wow, this is the way forward. This is amazing. We love animals. Like, we love the fact that we're participating in the sharing economy. Of course, there are major financial gains. And with that, it's just an all around win for everybody because, the owners get peace of mind, as you know, and you never know what can go wrong with a home or pets while you're away. So this is just like reassurance for them. Of course, we get to stay in the comfort of somebody's home. So we're able to cook at home. We're able to, do our laundry. We're able to have a stable Wi-Fi connection and all of the comforts of a home, which is sometimes missing in Airbnbs or hotels
True.
or hostels. So with all of that, the pieces kind of came together. We started house sitting, and then I started teaching English online because I was like, I was doing it in person. Why not start doing it online? The original plan was to travel around the world for 1 year without working, just a full on sabbatical. But once
Mhm.
I saw the house sitting piece, I said, wow, we can really make increase our budget or travel more comfortably or just be able to travel for a longer period of time if we're able to put together these pieces of house sitting and remote.
Okay, amazing. Well, I know you have a lot of like financial savviness, what we're going to get into, but just to close the loop on the house sitting, can you share maybe one of your favorite or most unusual house sitting stories that really stuck with you?
Okay. So for the first long-term sit that we ever did was in Santorini, Greece. Now, I remember I was in Chiang Mai at the time, about to board a flight to China because I found an error fare from China to London for $40. So we're like, okay, why not? We're going to go surprise my in-laws in Europe. We applied for this house sit in Santorini, Greece for 4 months, and I applied at the very last minute, like on our way to the airport. By the time we landed in London, we were invited for an interview and did the interview right away. A month later, we were in Santorini, Greece, right before my birthday. And this place was really special because it's this beautiful boutique hostel called Caveland. And it is a winery from the 18th century. And all of the rooms are carved right into the volcanic rock of the island.
Well,
The owners have become amazing friends of ours. They have lots of sustainable practices within the business, like they have all upcycled boho type of furniture, veggie garden, compost, and we were looking after two dogs there. And we loved the experience having Santorini all to ourselves, let's say in the low season. And we ended up going back there for multiple years in a row. And I believe the second year that we went, there was a cat that showed up at the house, sorry, at the property. And we absolutely loved this cat. And, this cat was just kind of taking care of mice and rats around the property. And in the end, we were like, okay, we love her, but we travel and we travel with a 40-liter backpack. Like we can't bring her everywhere with us. So we just left her at the hostel. She was loved, she was taken care of. And we went back the following year and we just fell absolutely madly in love with her. And we're like, no, no, she's ours. Like there's nothing else we could possibly do.
oh my goodness.
So we invited Paulo's mother and sister to come and visit. Paulo's my husband, sorry. We invited my mother-in-law and my sister-in-law to come and visit us so that we could try to convince them to take our new cat Coco. they absolutely fell in love with her too, and they accepted. So now Coco is a Greek cat. She has a Greek passport, but she lives in Italy with my in-laws, and she just is absolutely like spoiled, rotten, living her best life in Sardinia. So yeah, that's probably one of the most amazing experiences that I've had and best gifts that I've even gotten out of house sitting, and not just for my partner and me, but for our whole family because everyone loves her.
That's such a great story. And now Coco is very much part of the family. So, very cool. Okay, let's transition to financial freedom because this is a big piece of sustaining this lifestyle. Yes, we got to get our health sorted, we got to make sure we're grounded, but also in a capitalist society where we have to pay for things sometimes. I know you're pretty savvy, money is a big part of it. You reached Coast Fi at 34. And the fact is, without ever earning more than $50,000 a year. So, firstly, for those who are not familiar with that term, what does it mean? And then how did you get it?
Sure. So CoastFi is a sub branch of the FIRE movement, Financial Independence, Retire Early. We could say that CoastFi is one version of FIRE, and it means that you have front loaded your investments early on enough that they will grow to be a comfortable amount for you to retire at a traditional retirement age. So that means that right now my future is taken care of. I don't need to worry about that at all. So it takes an immense pressure. Right now I really only need to cover my expenses as I'm living and I'm traveling around the world and until I reach retirement age. That's not even that much because from the way that I live, by combining house sitting, travel hacking, just mindful value based spending, I really only spend about $10,000 per year. And I know that that might be really shocking for some people, but really I'm not skimping out on experiences. I'm living in beautiful homes around the world. I'm plugged into communities while I'm house sitting, and a lot of the activities, the way that I spend my time are either very low cost or free. So it's not really an issue for me. I have a very, very high quality of life and I'm able to pursue this. Now, I'm at Coast Fi. I'm 34 years old now, and my intention is to be able to be work optional by the time that I'm 45. I won't just earn the amount that's just the bare minimum just to cover my current living expenses. I'll still continue to invest on autopilot every single month, have everything set up and automated, and that will just help me to become work optional at an earlier age than the traditional retirement age.
Okay, that's so interesting. I also particularly love that you said values based spending. I think it would be really helpful for people to hear how you think about that because often people will think achieving financial independence means giving up joy now for later. So, what would you say to someone who has that belief, and how would you actually put it in practice to start identifying what could be my value based spending?
Sure. Well, why not just write down a list of the things that bring you the most joy? I'm sure that many people would be surprised to realize that the things that bring them the most joy don't actually cost much money. Maybe it is spending time with family and friends. Maybe it's the satisfaction that they get from volunteering their time or skills. Maybe it's hiking in the mountains. Maybe it's practicing some new language or skill. In so many ways, you can just observe what is actually giving you your most joy and then just trying to align your spending toward that as much as possible.
Hmm. Okay. I love that. What would someone be surprised to hear is on your list and maybe isn't on your list?
I think a lot of people think that I probably need a lot more physical things to live than I actually do. For the past 9 years, I have been living out of a 40-liter backpack. And with that, I have about a week's worth of clothing, and it's enough. I'm able to do laundry. Because I have a little bit more financial freedom and flexibility, I'm able to do a lot of research into high quality items that are very durable, that have lifetime warranties, that will last for forever. And I choose to invest in very few physical things and more into experiences more than anything.
I love that. Okay, well, that's a great place to start. I remember when I was making the transition, I looked at my credit card history and really just got clear on what it was costing me to live and actually look at the numbers, like literally total. How much am I spending every month on Ubers or restaurants? Or drinks with friends or shopping, all of these things. And it doesn't mean they all have to go, but just really see that number and then decide, okay, is am I okay with spending that much money each month, knowing that it's gonna, in my case, I wanted to become an entrepreneur and have the more of a freelance lifestyle. I'm gonna have to make that much money up. I'm gonna have to work that much harder if I'm not gonna have a 9 to 5. And so, yeah, it was really helpful for me to see that, you know what, I don't actually need a new bikini for every single trip that I go on. I'm pretty good. I have enough. That's okay. Or I was living in downtown Toronto and hey, I can actually get a lot of exercise and maybe pay less of a gym membership by just walking more and not Ubering. So you can get pretty creative, but you really have to just know how much you're spending and what it costs you to live for you to start playing with that metric, is what I would say as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I would go ahead and take that list of the things that bring you the most joy, compare it with your spending and see really what the truth is around your spending. And then you're going to optimize. I'm never going to tell you to skip going to grab a coffee with your friends if quality time with your friends means a lot. It's not going to be that $5. I don't know how much coffee costs in the US these days, but it's not going to be those small expenses that are going to stop you from having a safe and secure retirement. It's going to be, how can you possibly optimize these larger expenses that are going to have the biggest impact? And in the context of my lifestyle and the digital nomad lifestyle, a lot of the things that we consider to be like what most people consider to be fixed expenses are not actually fixed. I through house sitting, I've completely eliminated the majority of my um, I've completely eliminated the majority of the expenses. I'm not spending on housing, any bills, so water, gas, electricity, trash, Wi-Fi, home or renter's insurance.
True.
Oftentimes the house sits have cars included, so I'm not dealing with car insurance, maintenance, or anything like that. Many of the homes have gyms included. A lot of these things are completely eliminated entirely, and I'm able to take that money and gift it to my future self so that I'm able, that 84-year-old me is going to be healthy and secure. And with that, when I gain more financial security for myself and also like time freedom, then I have more resources to pour into the communities that I'm visiting. I have more flexibility. Instead of all of my money going toward rent, I can go to locally owned restaurants. I can invest in responsible regenerative tourism agencies that can offer different trips to me as I'm visiting new places. There are so many valuable ways that I can be rerouting the money that I would have otherwise spent on these expenses and make sure that I'm okay in the future, but also make sure that the communities I visit and my people are okay. I can give back more and have a larger capacity to give back once I'm able to know that I'm good.
Okay, well, this is a great transition to the next section of the conversation I wanted to speak to you about, which is all about giving back and regenerative travel. So, what were some of your first experiences with traveling and volunteering? And can you maybe share a story or two where you just really felt like, okay, I made a lasting impact on this community or in this area of the world where it needs more support? And I know I contributed long term to something.
Yeah. So I've mentioned a couple of shorter term volunteer opportunities like in Kos and in Italy. One thing is that volunteering has always been instilled in me from my parents from a very young age. It's always been really important to give back. So, for example, when I was in middle school and high school, I used to organize 3 to 4 blood drives with the American Red Cross every year for my school and community. And I started giving blood as quickly as I could. And I am continuing to donate blood everywhere that I can for as many countries that will have me. And being able to donate blood, it's something that I would do back home if I was just living in one place. But and there's no reason that for me as a nomad that I can't just try to find a donation center or an event where I'm able to donate blood. And that's just one very easy thing. It takes about an hour of my time, and I'm able to contribute to helping save a life no matter where I am in the world. Another time that I volunteered was when I was in Santorini during the off season. There's lots of trash everywhere. Unfortunately, it's not the
Mm.
way taken care of the way that it is in the summertime. I haven't been there in a few years, so maybe things have changed a little bit. But for when I was there, it was just really, really, really sad to see that. And I kind of just, the people I spoke to were kind of indifferent. They're like, that's just the way it is. And I was like, okay, well, I'm fed up with seeing things this way. So I'm going to organize a weekly beach cleanup. Whoever wants to come, I'm going to like prepare a little aperitivo. I'll bring like snacks and drinks for everyone, and we'll make a day out of it. And I posted it on Facebook. I invited, just as I posted it in as many groups as I could. And we had a weekly beach cleanup going. And at one point, we had about like 25 to 30 people showing up to them. And we even had people like divers going into the sea and collecting trash from the sea. And it was really nice to see that not only that people came together and that I was able to decide to have that type of impact as a traveler, but also even after I left, some people took over and they carried on with those weekly cleanups for a while after I left.
Wow, that is so amazing. Okay, that's like fully taking initiative and really starting something while traveling, which is so admirable and impressive and very entrepreneurial in many ways. There's also organizations around the world that help facilitate someone's desire to give back while traveling. And I know people have reservations about some of these organizations. Sometimes they can have bad reputation based on things that have happened in the news. Any advice you would give to somebody who wants to participate in a more facilitated volunteering abroad experience, from what they should look out for to make sure it's legitimate to where they could even get started? I think that would be really helpful.
Sure. There is a website called Give Back Guide, and they're all about regenerative travel projects all around the world. And they basically are kind of the aggregator for all of these projects. So I would definitely recommend checking out their website to get started and see what opportunities are available. But I would really look for transparency with the companies. It's very easy to like have greenwashing or just say that you're
Yep.
doing these amazing things, but where are the numbers to back that up? Like, and are you putting together reports? Like, I need to see data. I need to see what the actual impact is going to be. And if you are paying for an opportunity, like where is that money going and how is it impacting the local communities? And speaking of the local communities, I think that it's really important to like not be going in with a white saviorism type of attitude and making sure that your projects aren't perpetuating that in any way, and being able to make sure like to listen to the locals first. Try to do your own research and see what locals are asking, what they need. It's not for me to come in and just say, okay, this project is going to make me feel good, and so I'm going to do it no matter what, to a certain extent. But like, where do locals see issues? What are their struggles, and where do my skill sets and my experience intersect with that in a way that I can be like mindfully giving?
Okay, that's such great advice. We'll also include a link to that website in the show notes. So thank you for that. Bianca, we love to wrap up all of our conversations with some this or that, quick fire, rapid questions, the Nomad edition, though. So I don't think we've sent you these ones. You are just going to come up with the first answer that comes to mind. There's no wrong answer. You ready?
Let's do it.
Okay. House sitting. Prefer In the mountains or by the sea?
So I usually do house sits that are near both, to be entirely honest. Like I will strategically choose places that are near both. But I do find myself gravitating more toward the mountains during the summer where I can get into a cooler climate when
Mm,
most people are just trying to like bake in the sun during the summer by the beach. I've been doing that for the past couple of summers and I've been really enjoying.
okay, love it. Tough one. Cats or dogs?
Oh, come on. Come on. How could you do that to me?
You gotta try.
I love them for different reasons. When I'm house sitting for dogs, I love their energy. I love that it helps me to have a balanced routine, and it helps me to go and meet people
True.
when I'm out and abroad. But I do love cats for their independence and their, you really, if you win a cat over, it really means something.
It
So
really does.
just for the sake of Coco, I'm gonna have to say cats.
Okay, okay, I love that. The most surprising animal you've ever pet sat? Any unique
Oh,
animals?
okay. Yep. So I've looked after silky chickens and turkeys before. I usually stick with cats and dogs, maybe some fish, but silky chickens, I don't know if you've ever seen them before, but they are
Yeah.
so funny looking.
Yeah, I want some.
They're
That's on
great.
my vision board for sure. Okay, one app or tool you can't live without on the road.
I only have to choose one. There are so many. Of course, trusted house sitters. I use trusted house sitters. That's how I've been able to house sit around the world for the past 9 years. And I've never had problems finding sits. It is really competitive, but I have been doing this so long that hasn't I've been able to do a great job while traveling slowly to line up sits back to back, so I never really need to fill in any accommodation, and I just think it's a very sustainable and ethical way to travel. So I would definitely say that in terms of accommodation. In terms of finances, I really love the Copilot app, which is just amazing for it's just like I can sync all of like my income, my spending, categorize everything. They have AI, everything's organized. Chef's kiss, love it. In terms of sustainable food, I would say Too Good to Go, which is an amazing app that allows you to buy food at a discounted rate from restaurants or grocery stores up to 80% off. So this is a great way to keep food from going to the landfill and being able to save some money, of course, along the way. And in terms of health, I love my Aura Ring Natural Cycles combination. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it,
Oh, yeah.
but yeah, so with Aura Ring and Natural Cycles, it's a non hormonal birth control option, which is really convenient and it just really helps me to stay healthy in terms of my cycle and being able to track it and support it.
Amazing. Okay, final question. One money myth you wish people would stop believing.
I think a lot of people think that they need to work hard, grind, and hustle until they're very old so that they could just sit back and enjoy their retirement. And or they're like vice versa. They can just travel around the world, like kind of just they're kind of just winging it to a certain extent and hoping that the future will figure itself out. But if you make strategic choices like I've been doing and that I love sharing with people about this, um, if you make these type of strategic choices, they you can really have both. Like you can have your cake and eat it too. You're able to travel strategically now. You can get your adventure and travel fix and still set yourself up for a very comfortable and enjoyable future as well.
You can have your cake and eat it too. What a great place to end. Thank you, Bianca, for showing us that freedom isn't just about how much you earn, but how you choose to live, how you choose to travel, and how you choose to give back. For anyone listening, if you've ever thought that financial independence and full time travel can't coexist, Bianca, you are living proof that they can. So thank you so much. And until next time on Nomad Chats, enjoy your travel.